from the CyberHub bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast, Tech Corner. And now, join me in welcoming your host and CISO, James Azar.
Merry Christmas, boys and girls. Welcome to our final episode of the year for Tech Corner. That's right, I'm wearing my Santa shirt. That might be sacrilegious for some people since I'm Jewish, but I have an ugly Santa sweater. Joining me to round out this year, the person who got started with us, almost one of our first newly launched episodes of Tech Corner, the one, the only, the magnificent Jacqueline Jayne.
Merry holidays, Christmas, and all the other things that are happening at the moment. All the holidays.
So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Diwali, and that's that.
Excellent.
That's pretty good. Before we get started on today's episode, folks, if you're watching, please make sure to subscribe. Right now, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the notification bell right here below. When you subscribe, that way you get notified every new episode we post. It is the last episode of the year, but we've accomplished so much together this year, including reaching over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thanks to all of you loyal listeners and people who watch us. Woohoo! Yeah! All right. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, subscribe. But the best way for you to support this podcast is to share it with your friends and colleagues and family and loved ones. So please do so now, because today's episode is going to be one you are going to want to share.
Correct.
Right? I mean, it's important what we're talking about today. I think it's of critical importance what we're talking about today, JJ.
It is. I don't think people realize that there's things you need to be aware of every single day. And the holiday season means the scammers are out and about in force.
And the scammers are out and about in force. And I know that 2020 has not been a traditional year. You know, I don't need to talk about COVID and lockdowns and everything that's been happening over the last several weeks in the cybersecurity community, from, you know, the SolarWinds and FireEye cyber incidents to, you know, ransomware attacks and so forth. We tend to put our guards down this time of year, right? Like, we want to go shopping. We're happy. You know, where people are just excited. It's that time of year. You get to see family you don't like and drink, you know, and it's nice.
It is. And, you know, we let our guard down, like you say, because we want to trust and we want to get the bargains, and we're looking for that opportunity to save a bit of money when we can. And that leads us to disaster in many ways, unfortunately. It
does. It leads us to a place of complacency, of trust, of blind trust, of a lot of different things that happen and could impact us financially, could impact us over the long term. There's some stuff in there, JJ, that's really concerning. And today's episode, we're going to talk about that. How do you stay safe during the holiday season? How do you continue to take care of your privacy, your financial security, and your family and kids and friends? I mean, JJ.
James, I was thinking about the only way to actually stay 100% safe is to shut down all your devices, get off the internet, and sit in your lounge room and do nothing. That's the only way. So because that's not going to happen, and because we are this year more than any time ever in history going to be using online platforms to buy gifts and to book things, and we're just spending more time online than ever. People are having Zoom Christmas drinks. Who would have thought? So there's such a change, and people sort of forget about the fact that the cyber criminals, we call, you know, some people call them scammers or bad guys, or cyber criminals will take advantage of all of those things, because that's what leads us into this fun time of Christmas and New Year or the holidays, and we just need to pay attention.
So let's talk about that for just a second here, because the cyber criminals, those faceless, heartless folks that want to take advantage of our good nature of celebrating the birth of, you know, Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior, and celebrating Hanukkah and the miracles of Hanukkah, and celebrating Kwanzaa and Diwali. They want to take advantage of that.
It's wrong, but they do. That's what they do.
That's what they, exactly. So tell us a little bit about the top scams to watch for this holiday season.
Well, I think one that's been asked a lot of me is charities. How do you know that you're giving to the right charity? How do you know it's not a scam? And to be absolutely honest, the only way to avoid being scammed through a fake charity is to only deal with the charity direct. So you make the contact. You give them a call yourself, or you go to their website and you donate. Alternatively, you take your donations to their shopfront or their outlets. So not the other way around. So if you get a call looking for people looking for donations, or someone knocks at the door, you get an email, whatever it is, you want to help because we're all generous, kind souls at heart. However, in this day and age, you need to still be polite because it could be a legitimate charity and say, look, I'm going to call back and make my donation myself, or go to your website. Sounds really odd. However, it is the only way to stay away from that particular scam. You got that stuff happening over there in the US of A?
We do have a lot of charity scams in the U.S. We had a lot of it for COVID. Typically, we see it a lot of after natural disasters, right? We've got some snowstorms, hurricanes. In the holiday season, we see a lot of it. And some of it, by the way, just so you know, here is frontal. It's someone standing with a fake charity vest with a sign that says, donate to help the shoeless kids of, Zimbabwe. And
we have them throughout the front of the supermarkets. And I always look, it's hard to say no. It's hard to not want to give, but you just can't these days. If you're happy to lose your money and not know where it's going, you need to. And earlier this year and late last year, because we had those nasty bushfires here in Australia, there were something like 300 or 400 scam websites set up for fake charities to just lean on people to get them to donate money, which is just, I don't get it because I'm just not like that. But there are a lot of people who think, excellent, great time to take advantage. So be careful of charities. You can also check in Australia, I know, through the charity register. I'm sure they have these in other countries. So just Google check for legitimate charities and I'm sure you'll be taken to
well, I mean, Google the charity and see how long it's been there. In the U.S., a good charity will have its 501(c) tax designation on their website, and you can cross-reference that with the IRS to ensure that it's legitimate. And one of the other stuff is see how their payment platform is set up. I think that's a big one, right? Yeah. If you look at, are they taking you to PayPal to donate? It's kind of shady, right? That's really, what's the Australian word for it? That's really
shonky, shady.
Yeah, like very, very. I forgot the word. I'm having a brain fart here. But how do you say how do you say something really weird, like very like awkward?
I'd say shonky. We'd use that word here.
Yeah,
shady.
I don't know shonky. I don't remember shonky from my time in the land down under, but now I do.
I'll keep the Australian stuff on the side. Otherwise, people will have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, you should. You should. I want them to learn I want them to learn another version of English, which is the Australian version of English.
So if I said, "G'day, mate. How's it going? Chuck another shrimp on the barbie. Nice to see you, cobber." There you go.
So Barbie's barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbie's barbecue. You're checking on your meat in your barbecue, and it's good to see you. Not too shabby, right?
Not too bad. What's cobber?
Cobber, wouldn't that be? That's a cow. That's steak, right?
No, that's you, mate, friend. You know, how are you, buddy? Cobber. How you doing, cobber? I know it sounds odd. We could do a whole other podcast just on Aussie slang. Put that down.
We should, but we want to stick to our 5 most seen scams here real quick. So let's talk about the second one. The guy who's offering you a $100 gift card for $80. I love those people. Don't you?
I do. Bless them. They're so kind giving it away. But what people don't understand, James, is these guys will buy the $100 gift card legitimately. They'll spend it, and they'll spend it online, and they can actually take off that pin and replace it with another sticker. So everything looks packaged and, you know, untampered with. And they advertise it for less than the value. Someone buys it and has no idea until they go to use it that there's nothing on it. So the easiest thing here, like charities, if you're going to buy a gift card or a gift credit card or a gift voucher, only buy it through a reputable place, pay the value of what it is, check the packaging, make sure there's no issues, hasn't been tampered with, and keep your receipt in case you need to fix something if there's an issue.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's talk about my favorite one. The Adidas and Adidas mobile app store that sells you great quality clothing that kind of looks like Adidas, but isn't quite Adidas.
Yeah, look, the fake apps, I'm forever searching to look for a list of all the fake apps that are out there. And there are a lot, even though there is some really good rules and regulations in place from the official app stores, they can still get through. So, number one, don't buy or don't download any app unless it's through an official app store, whether that's iOS or Android or Google Play. Don't do any links or, you know, some great ideas like you just said, the Adidas or Adidas. Don't download that one. Google them again, check to see if they've got any other apps. Is it a new one? Is it just come out? And have a look for things like spelling errors, typos, just like any email that could have errors in it, those red flags. And if in doubt, just don't do it. A lot of the time, I think I've read that they'll actually screenshot the real app and then cut those images and put them into their fake app on that page. I don't even know why someone would bother, but I'm sure you could share some pretty scary stories about what happens if you downloaded one of these fake apps.
Yeah, there's a ton of it, and people who tune into the podcast can actually go back and listen. I kind of want to stay on track here, but yeah, there are some very scary things that happen with fake apps. They take over your device. They can do a lot of very, very, very challenging things, and one has to address those. Point number 4, though, is probably the one that I feel like is most dangerous this holiday season.
Okay.
Fake shipping text messages, where you're getting an alert that someone shipped you something, and you're given a weird link to track it. And people fall for those all the time.
They do, and the reason they do is because the cyber criminals, they don't do things by halves. So they'll create a website that looks exactly like a courier company or the postal company, like for here, Australia Post. And what they send the link, people click and they think, oh, okay, I better pay this money so I can actually get my parcel shipped to me, or I need to check the tracking on it, there's an issue, whatever it might be. They click, sometimes hand over their contact details and credit card details, and the impersonation level that these cyber criminals go to is amazing. It doesn't take that long, though, having said that, to recreate a website that's already out there. And people don't look for the red flags. They don't think, hold on, I should only ever use official apps, or go to the official website myself and check on tracking or if there's any issues and make contact from there. We tend to just click on things without actually thinking.
Yeah, that's very common for us, is to just randomly click on stuff without really thinking, and to really when we get a text message, we go, well, it must be real to have my phone number, and your phone number is public data at this point. No one has a private phone number. And so just assume, and one tip on this is look at the link. If the link doesn't make up FedEx or Amazon or UPS or DHL or Australian Post or US Post, in the US it's USPS, then it's fake. Yep. The other part is they never send you a shortened link. So these
No,
companies, they don't send you like a bit.ly, or they don't send you a link that's like link.ly or anything like that. They're going to send you the full link, and on there is going to be a number, which is your tracking number. So you can always just go to the shipping company's website, put in the tracking number, and see if it's real. We did an experiment like that. We've seen cases like this before, and it's really crazy. I want to get to our the top 5 holiday scam, and number 5 is really one that kind of fits in with the world that we live in today, the social media world, which is what was $1,000 is now $100. Only 4 left in stock. Buy now.
Exactly. And look, everyone loves a bargain, me included. And, this time of year, even starting back in Black Friday and Cyber Monday, all of the deals out there, you get overwhelmed. There's pop-up ads, there's emails, you go to a news site and there's ads all over the place there. You're on Facebook and they're popping up everywhere. It is near impossible to know what is fake and what is real. And I did a lot of research because I did want to buy some things for Black Friday, Cyber Monday a couple of weeks back. But I did my research and I had those official websites bookmarked and ready to go on the day. And the same thing here, if you get something that seems ridiculously good, it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And let's say it's Amazon. Go to the Amazon website. Don't click on a link. Go to the website and have a look. Because if it's real, it will be there as well. They don't do things out of sync. So they're not going to put an ad up and you won't be able to find it on the actual website. So these, unfortunately, people are targeted by cyber criminals, humanity to hope we get a bargain, and they know it. So they say, excellent, if we send 100 emails out with click here for your 50% discount, we know that a certain percentage will actually click. And we can't stop that other than bringing more awareness to people and say, just don't click on these things if it makes you feel a sense of urgency in whatever it is. Really stop and think. But yes, we'll all be looking for bargains, and I don't know about you, but I've got lots of parcels on their way as well, so I've got to make sure I check not to click on notifications.
Yeah, don't click on notifications. You're absolutely right. Something that's too good to be true on your Instagram feed, on your Facebook feed.
Yep.
Double, triple check it. Go to the Facebook page. Go see if there's a company like that on Amazon. Cross-reference it. And you may say, James, you're being really egregious. I mean, it's a great deal. It's only $20. It's not really the big deal. But it is. It's humongous. They do $20 on, 50,000 people, folks. They're making $1 million. They're getting away with $1 million on an advertising campaign that they're maybe spending, a few $1,000s to run.
Exactly. And there are some that say you don't pay for the product, just pay for the shipping.
Yep.
People have fallen for that.
Yeah. And then they bill you. And then they bill you. They start to bill you. I've seen cases of that as well. And in fact, I had a friend that had that happen to her. She ordered something online. It was shipping only, and then a month later she got charged, like $300. And they were like, yeah, it's your terms and conditions. Now, luckily, her credit card company, refunded her the money. But someone pays for that loss, folks. And typically it's the credit card company that will absorb some of that. And that has an impact on our economy. And so it's something to keep in mind.
I really do think, I'd like your thoughts on this too, but we recommend, don't use your debit cards, only use a specific credit card to do purchases online, maybe buy a gift credit card yourself and use that so that the element of safety. I wonder when credit card companies will say enough's enough. You have an X amount per year, and if you get scammed over that, you're going to need to wear it, because people need to take the responsibility of where they put their data or where they hand over that data. I wonder if they'll continue to absorb the cost, James.
So I don't think they can continue to sustain this for too much longer. At some point or another, they're gonna what they're going to have to come up with, and I think what's the right solution for it is, I have a bank card, my debit card or my credit card, and I should have an online card,
Yeah.
a virtual card that I can, with a click of a button, transfer money to, right, from my bank account to an online to use on platforms I don't trust. So you can use your debit card on Amazon, right? But if you're going to go and buy something off of Facebook from a website you've never heard of before, you go, well, I'm going to exercise some good cyber hygiene here. I'm going to use my virtual card. You're going to log into your bank. You're going to transfer the amount of money there and use it and take responsibility for that purchase.
Yep. I think they're going to need to make some changes.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for them to make changes. Right now, it's extremely difficult for them to make changes right now. The financial system is set back. It's still some credit card companies still operate off a mainframe, and that's a scary thought.
But there are still people now who, and I've experienced it myself in the last few months, paying for something and they want you to give them your credit card details over the phone. And I just don't do it anymore. It's a bit of a confronting or a challenging conversation to have, but I just don't believe we should be doing that at all ever anymore. You shouldn't be able to do it. People could still be listening into your conversation. The old hacking outside, listening to what you're saying. People or companies just should not ever ask for your details like that over the phone.
Well, there's an aspect, and this holiday season I think is different from many others we've experienced. Not many people are traveling for a holiday.
No.
It's many people are shopping from home. Although, here, and I can say, speaking from the U.S. perspective, in the great state of Georgia, everything's open. And on Black Friday, my wife and I went to the mall. Now, it wasn't, we didn't go during the busy hours. We went towards the late morning, early afternoon, because we're just, I'm not the kind to go stand at a line at 2 a.m. to get a $5 t-shirt. Like, I buy $5 t-shirts already. Like,
Unless it was a really good $5 t-shirt.
I don't really care. A t-shirt's a t-shirt. I wear black t-shirts. I buy them in bulk from Costco, and that's pretty much my thing. I mean, jeans is the only thing I really go to a specialty shop to buy, and most places, they don't really do a sale on jeans. Jeans is a year-round product. There's no incentive to give you a discount on it because it's not seasonal.
Would you know that one of the biggest issues we've had this year in Australia for being scammed is puppies? Puppies. Little doggies, little puppies.
Well,
because
people are lonely.
home, they were, remote working, not out. And so there was thousands and thousands of dollars lost to Aussies buying pets online, sending deposits, and of course, they're not even real. I couldn't believe that. I mean, you'd expect shoes and clothes and electrical devices, but pets, there was including birds and then kittens, but puppies first. Amazing.
Well, I mean, but that's part of the challenge of this COVID. I mean, if you and I go back and look at our blogs posts that we've written over the years for the fourth quarter, right? And we talk about, travel safety and airport safety and train station and traveling hygiene. And when you go to your aunt's house and she has an unsecured Wi-Fi network, like, yeah, maybe you should talk to your aunt about securing her Wi-Fi network and putting on a password, even if it's, password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's better than none, right? Yep. And so forth. But this year, because everyone's at home, to me, the real danger is beyond just the shipping and the online stuff and the stuff that you brought up, which is great. The greatest danger is all these different smart and IoT devices that people put in their homes in the last 6 months.
Yep.
That are now going to be rampantly used by threat actors to disrupt people's lives. And I'm waiting for the first smart home, completely smart home, to be ransomware. Like, you're stuck in your house, you can't get out, and you're like,
that'd be a good movie.
Right? or you can't get in your house, or you can't get out of your bathroom or bedroom or anything like that.
Google and YouTube outage just yesterday, the day before, I was live while it was happening and looking for stuff. People couldn't ask Google or Alexa or Google Home for help because she couldn't get online. Everyone was worried. You want to Google what's happening on Google. And I think it was then you realise the amount of reliance we have. And if your fridge is smarter than your phone, that's a really interesting thought, the Internet of Things and all the devices that are really clever.
Well, you're talking about the Internet of Things and things that are interconnected. You could look at DDoS attacks where your IoT devices at home are being used to attack, Google or just a business, any business. The Google outage has repeated itself today, by the way. I mean, as you and I are speaking, just a few hours ago, I saw Proton Mail tweeted that an alert that says, yes, we know that emails aren't going through the Gmail addresses. It's a Google issue. We're monitoring it. And you're like, what is going on? And this takes us into a very dark place, right? And being that this is the last episode of the year, I don't want to end on a dark note, but I do want to issue a warning. And I think the warning is that what we've seen this year is beyond the unleashing. It's shooting fish in a barrel.
It is. It really is.
So it started with COVID, and all the fish went into barrels, right? Because we're all said, go home, don't leave, work from home, do everything that you do from home. Exactly. So we became fish in a barrel, and our opponents and our adversaries knew exactly where to find us. And it became so easy, like shooting fish in a barrel, right? Where now you're seeing people who are at home, who are susceptible to phishing scams, to alerts. I mean, this whole thing is the perfect storm for the greatest transfer of wealth in human history.
Yep. And you're right, this year's been incredibly challenging, and the organisations that did do their work to prepare their human firewalls in previous years, like even last year or the end of last year or prior to that, they started creating awareness, and they started that process of training and education and getting them aware of what is actually out there. When they went to work via remote conditions, they were prepared and probably had a better chance of getting through it all without being attacked. What about those organisations where people didn't get any form of training how to stay safe online, and they don't have IT down the hallway or a colleague next to them? They have absolutely no idea what to do. So I think what this year has done, it's brought a lot of grief and a lot of just not nice stuff. It's also brought a huge amount of things to the surface, that we are a good bunch of people really around the world. We want to help. Some of us clearly don't listen to our governments, and others do listen. That's just the nature of humans. And it's also given us an opportunity to understand that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. You can't rely on running down the hall to IT anymore. You really do need to embrace it and know that, okay, if I'm going to use a device, I have a level of responsibility to keep it safe, not even necessarily for where I work, but just for my stuff, my family, my kids, my home, my fridge. And the added benefit is every organisation has those people out there helping when it comes to protecting their assets and their data, so we don't have any cyber attacks. We'll never get to zero, but, I think it's really one more thing. It's shown that the cybersecurity group, us as a united front, have really come together this year.
We're trying to.
The name and the shame. I think it's been fantastic to watch the support that's there.
So we're trying to come together. I've spoken about this quite extensively over the last several weeks. From the moment the FireEye breach we were notified of what happened to the firm FireEye, who became victims, were the first victims of a larger syndicate of crime, right? Yep. To later on with SolarWinds, U.S. Treasury, Commerce, the China Papers, and so forth. Something stinks for me. In everything that's happened in the month of December and November, something stinks. It doesn't smell right. It's no one's that lucky and no one's that good.
Yep. But we've got to remember, cyber criminals work really well together. They collaborate. They share.
Well, so I don't think any of that. I don't think anything that's happened from November and December that's been major has been a cyber criminal organization.
Okay.
It's all been nation state attacks.
Okay.
And I think that the challenge we have right now is no one has defined cybersecurity in the same definition of, let's say, maritime and aviation type of borders. So what I mean is the internet is everywhere. And our idea of the internet is it's a bunch of lines and dots that are all interconnected and there's no borders. And so some people are going to hate what I have to say right now, and some people are going to agree with what I have to say right now. But I think what's really important in anything I'm about to say is the idea that we should be able to have this debate. And this debate is critically important for everyone who's a cybersecurity practitioner, because it has an unwavering impact, on how we live our lives and the freedoms that we exercise today as free people in a Western society to what might happen if we continue to go down a specific path. And here's what I mean. So here's what I mean. We, in Western societies, deal with the separation of government, corporation, and power very differently. But when I'm a company and I'm dealing with a nation state actor, and I'm going to call them out for who they are, China, right? China is the greatest cybersecurity threat to the world today. Yep. They're the greatest security threat to the entire Asian Pacific region, including your neck of the woods. They're the greatest economical threat to the Middle East and Africa. And they're the greatest threat to human rights because their human rights record just sucks. They're jailing Uyghur Muslims in train loads, Holocaust style, shaving their heads, putting them out on trains, into concentration camps, calling them re-education camps, and bringing them back out. Okay? So I'm saying that this is on behalf of me. Let's make that crystal clear. So here's where the threat lies, okay? I don't want anyone else to get in trouble, all right? Here's where this stuff happens, right? Yeah. We're dealing with an existential threat to the way we do this. And we as cybersecurity professionals and practitioners need to look at our government forces and say, how do we build a cybersecurity wall? And what message and legislation and things could we enact to create a deterrence? There's very little deterrence right now. You know why people don't kill people in parts of the U.S.? I know people think the U.S. is a great Western and everyone dies in a shootout in the U.S., but that's not the case. You know that the states that have the death penalty have a lower homicide rates than the state that don't have the death penalty? Yep. You know why? It's a deterrent. I kill you, I could die.
The only issue we have, though, is it's hard to even trace these cyber attacks back to anyone or anything. We could intellectually know or have a really good idea. It's actually challenging to go back and say, okay, it's this area from this part of this particular country. Doesn't matter the individuals doing it, but how do we do that? I think that's one of the biggest problems. You can't actually trace it back.
Well, I think that's a negative. I think we can't trace it back today because think of running a country without a border, right? So the internet is countries without borders. There's nothing patrolling what's coming in and what's going out. I think the moment you set up some level of patrol on a national level, you're able to get a little bit more attribution.
Yep.
And it at least creates a deterrent, meaning if I'm China and I'm using Russia or North Korea as a way to launch an attack, they're less likely to let me do that if it comes back to me.
Yeah,
right?
Well, look, just the disruption that occurred with Google and YouTube being down for an hour or two, just that, God forbid, if something larger was to be disrupted for a longer period of time. And I don't think we quite understand the impact that would actually have on us as a globe. Doesn't matter where it occurs, because then we're all vulnerable. It's like we don't want to, end the year on that negative, but it's time to realize that this is happening. This isn't a if, this is a when. It's happening now. It will continue to happen. And hopefully there's no predictions that come true for anything major from a cyber attack next year, because it's happening now. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Well, it's a dilemma, right? But if we look at it around Christmas time, the timing of doing this around the holiday time, when people who've had a very, very difficult year, right? I mean, we're worn down. As a planet population, I don't care what you are and where you're from. As a general population, we are worn out and we are worn down. We're sick of being stuck at home. We're agitated with the idea of a new normal. When I get a message that says the new normal, I don't answer the person anymore. Right? There is no new normal. We're going to go back to normal life. Right? We're going back to normal life. You know what the advantages of the new normal life, though, is? We've experimented with people working remotely, and we now know that it's possible. So my days in the office,
all these new things.
Right, and my days of going into the office now would be slightly different. We could see work days change where you no longer have to be at work for 8 hours. You can be at work for 5, right? You don't have to sit in rush hour traffic because you can go to work at 10 and be done by 3 and be home to, greet your kids as they come off the school bus and, get them started on their homework, open your laptop and sit around the table as a family. And while you're answering emails and maybe on a few conference calls, your kids are doing their homework. I mean, that's the life we now realize that we can go to. But you know what that's similar to? That's similar to life pre-internet in the 50s and 60s. Right, in the 50s and 60s, many people worked 40 hours, right? But you would, but schools were longer then, right? But that's before they had teacher unions, right? So before teacher unions, kids would go to school from 7 a.m. to about 4 p.m., right? And they would come home just in time for mom to finish supper and dad to walk in from the office, or whatever. However, even if it was reversed, right? I don't mean to come off as a chauvinistic in my characterization of this, but now we're going back to that, and
we're having more balance and more quality time with friends and family, but we haven't realized.
Well, community. We lost our actual community to an online community. And what happened when we got put in our little, barrels as fish, we started to talk to the other fish in our barrel. Right? Think about it. You and I, pre-COVID, would be flying every week somewhere.
Exactly.
Right? We wouldn't have got to spend time with our families the same way if not for it. So it's helped. The silver lining of this is the fact that we were able to go down a path where we're grounded a little bit more as people. But
exactly.
But with that being done, you brought up a great point, which is now cybersecurity is everyone's business.
It is, and you cannot just say, IT have to deal with it. And on your point, James, you mentioned that, we're tired, we're at the end of the year, we're ready just to fold into the holiday period and just relax with our family for a while. On the flip side of that, that's exactly how these opportunistic criminals work. Excellent. Here's a chance to get them while they're down. And that's what they do, fish where the fish are. We're all in the barrel, we're all tired in the barrel, So they're going to put more in to try and catch us out. And look, it really upsets me that there are people like that in the world. However, there are. And the more we can come together as a group and realize that this actually goes on, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, you bring up such an amazing point, right? Which is we're in a place right now where we're ready to walk away, and we know that many of our peers in the industry are not. They're all going to be working double time and triple time to get stuff hopefully to get stuff in place so that they can at least enjoy Christmas Eve and day with their families, right?
Yes.
And not be dealing with the fallout of everything that's been going on. But at the same time, I got to tell you, JJ, I'm ecstatic. You know why I'm ecstatic and I'm optimistic?
What?
Because as a community, we've come together.
Agreed.
I'll tell you, and there's been a bridge of trust built between chief information security officers and cybersecurity technology providers. Many of them have kind of taken that step back this year. They've kind of said, we saw the good ones come out and say, use us. Free, here you go. Just don't be a victim, right? And we saw the I don't want to say the bad ones, but I think the inexperienced ones almost fade away into the wind, right?
Yeah, it is interesting, and I hope that my cats come to visit. So
hi,
Merry
cat.
Christmas from the cat.
Merry Christmas from the cat. And
Merry
now it's tail. If you're listening, you got to go to minute 41 on YouTube and watch this. But the cat is literally trying to smack JJ with its tail in the middle of the shot. It's absolutely hilarious.
And the things we have to deal with. See, remote, you know what? This is the other thing. Before COVID and remote working, you would not have allowed your cat anywhere near your room that you were recording in for fear that would happen. Now, dogs, cats, kids, doorbells, doesn't matter. We've become more authentic in the way we communicate in podcasts, in vlogs, in anything that we're doing because we can, and it's so much easier. So much easier.
So our last safety tips before we wrap up our final episode of the year and wish everyone a great holiday break. And we'll be back in January with some great podcasts and some great episodes on Tech Corner and a new format that I'll talk about here in just a moment. For people who are traveling, for people who are brave enough to wear a mask for a flight and go somewhere, why don't you fresh up their minds a little bit, JJ? What should they not be doing while traveling?
Well, number one, don't use free Wi-Fi. 9 times out of 10, public Wi-Fi is not free. And if you need to use Wi-Fi while you're traveling, get yourself a VPN, a virtual private network. They're cheap and they just give you the added benefit of protection. Don't leave your devices down or unlocked. Keep them with you, keep them close. If you can leave it at home and don't take it, do that. It's even better. And just be aware, anything that looks too good, anything that seems a great opportunity, be hyper aware with everything that we do. And if in doubt, just don't do it. Stop and look and think, should I be doing this? This sounds too good to be true. This is making me feel a bit weird, or the sense of urgency or fear. And just take a few moments to do some research, some independent research, to give yourself a little bit of comfort in the decision you're about to make. And stay safe online and share with other people. That's the thing. Everybody who has a device needs to know how to stay safe online.
Yeah, I agree. I think being safe online is critical. There's aspects to that are so important and so just I can't find the words. I'm having a brain fart. It's the end of the year. I'm ready to go on break too. But it's critical. It's important. It's critical. It's important. It's being safe online while you travel should be your number one priority, because there's not a lot of people traveling, which means it's easier to pick people off.
Yes.
There's less
and
attention.
The thing is, we've started to sanitize our hands more. We do it all the time now. It's become a habit, and we know we need to do it. We look for the sanitization pumps. We know to wear our masks in certain situations. It's because it's been drilled into us every day. If only we can be drilling into people, you know, to lock your device, to not leave it on the floor, to not leave it on a table, don't use other people's charging mechanisms, or don't use free Wi-Fi. It's the repetitive nature of these messages that hopefully one day we won't need to say don't use free Wi-Fi, because people will just know.
Well, hopefully there won't be such a thing as free Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
Think of everyone walking around with their own network.
That's an even better idea.
You know, I mean, the security has to change. And I think the one thing I want to take into 2021 is security has to change. We have to start breaking down security for what it is.
Yep.
The nation state attacks, where it requires an entire unit of people and resources to defend against, which requires private, public, and industry partnership on a scale that could work to defend the critical aspects of every country's economy.
Yep.
So when you look at like the Five Eyes, like, could we form a Five Eye? And people who don't know who the Five Eyes are, it's Canada, the US, Ireland, UK, Australia. They make up the Five Eyes, and there's kind of a defense agreement there and a financial agreement between the nations to ease trade and defense and cooperation and intel sharing and a lot of different aspects of it. So could the Five Eyes develop a joint cybersecurity strategy to defend the homeland and its critical infrastructure and critical organizations from nation-state actors out to cause damage? Because the damage that they cause is financial, and that financial damage has an impact on the countries. I mean, people don't realize that, but when big companies are attacked through a cyber attack, and their IP or their business processes or anything like that is stolen, it's not a victimless crime, and it's a crime that's like someone going into the bank and robbing everything. Everything. I mean, desks, chairs, the safes, pens, pencils,
the building,
papers, everything.
Yep.
And we wouldn't stand for that. So why are we standing for this? And this requires an expansion of the private-public relationship, which would probably require legislatures and lawmakers to look hard of how they regulate cyber and what kind of pass do they give companies that are victims of cyber attacks, right? So how do we balance your privacy as a citizen when your data is with an organization to the government having some level of access and cooperation with that organization to defend foreign attacks against its infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it can be something, or it should be something that is seriously considered. I also would like to see next year the more business units outside of just tech coming together. So anybody who's watching or listening who is in that tech role, please reach out to other areas of your organization and explain to them, take them on the journey. I had to say it at least once this year, take them on the journey so that they can understand why cybersecurity is critical, what it means to them, and get everybody else working with you, not against you. So whoever you are, please reach out to your sales, your marketing, your HR, people, culture, whatever you call them. Please reach out and say, we need your help to get this message out there, because this is not just responsibility of IT. This is everyone's responsibility.
That's brilliantly said. So with that, I want to wrap up. I want to get from you the one final thing. What's your prediction for 2021?
I predict that there will be more of a, what would you call it? conversation that takes place outside of just tech with cybersecurity. We can't get away from it anymore. This literally affects our day-to-day living and our quality of life. And I think governments all the way down and business areas will take notice and say, okay, how do we all stand together and do something to stop these cyber criminals doing what they're doing? Because if we don't, they'll just get better and better at it.
Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. Well said. Well put. JJ, thank you for coming on. So JJ's going to stick around for just another minute, folks. I want to tell you what's happening next year, 2021, with Tech Corner. So Tech Corner is going to continue and grow in 2021. We're looking to bring on and have different conversations beyond just with our great partners. We're going to be having conversations around technology and health tech and AI and quantum and so many other aspects of it. Our interviews are also going to change a little bit in style, where when I bring on one of our partners, they're going to go on a hot seat of difficult questions of why, how, what, and get them to answer those a little bit and be able to give you guys some insight into the companies that are supporting our show, but also let you meet the people there, meaning the human element of the company, because that's really what makes a company. KnowBe4, who's been an avid supporter of our program, the people is what makes the difference, folks. And when you meet people like JJ and Roger and Eric and Javad and James, and I know I'm forgetting people, and Yella and all those other people, you meet great, and you meet a great group of people, and you realize that's a great company to work with. And I think that's one thing I want to start bringing out, is not just the knowledge and the thought leadership, but the people and the story of the people as well that make up a great company. So you'll be tuning into those. We'll be back in January with more awesome Tech Corner episodes. And so stay tuned for that and those announcements. We'll also be putting them into shorter segments, so you'll be able to listen to just several 15 or 20-minute segments of the show, so that, even though you'll have the long form, but you also have shorter segments, which will be great. It'll help kind of break down everything we're talking about. And that's it, folks. Thank you for watching our show and supporting it this year. I'm eternally grateful to everyone who takes that allows me and my guests to be part of their daily or weekly routine. It is humbling when I get your notes. It's humbling when I get your feedback and your likes and your thumbs up. And I'm grateful to be able to be a part of your journey in cyber, and a place that you go to just hear from people across the industry. And I hope you'll continue to do that and share this podcast. I know we have a lot of other great stuff coming. I know that JJ and I are starting our own show called The Other Side of Cyber that you guys can tune into. It'll be every Wednesday morning in Australia. That's right. It's Tuesday nights in the US. So my Tuesdays are now going to be longer, but it's worth it as JJ and I kick off the other side of cyber, the human side of cyber, as we talk about different aspects of cybersecurity, from breaches to impact to personal life stuff that we talked about today, but really in a lot more detail. So you'll want to tune into that. That channel will be launching in January. We'll be live on YouTube, Periscope, and LinkedIn, so you can tune in there. It will be a live show, folks. So it's not something that we'll pre-record and put it out. You can interact and ask questions. Right, JJ?
Exactly, and the cats will be here to make sure that they're on that podcast as well.
We'll have the cats, and luckily today we've had 0 dolphin interruptions.
I got you.
It's magnificent. I'm grateful that the dolphins have found a different pod to go swim in.
Exactly. They're in another bucket of fish.
Yeah, they're in another barrel. Hopefully, I think, what is it, in Norway or Sweden or Finland, where they hammer the dolphins on the heads once a year? Like, it's a thing for them. Like
I couldn't do that.
It's disgusting. I've seen like images of it. It's It's crazy. All right, that's it for us here. That's it for us here, folks. Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry
Hanukkah.
Christmas, happy holidays.
Happy Kwanzaa, happy Diwali, happy New Year. May 2021 bring you all prosperity, health, wealth, success, happiness. In Hebrew, we say something that says shalom bayit. Shalom bayit means peace at home. May you get along with your spouse, your partner, your mate, your kids, and so forth. And may you have that be the guiding force and light. After 2020, humanity deserves a calmer, more humane 2021, and I hope we get that. The cat makes another special appearance here at the end. So thank you to JJ. Thank you to the cat. What's the cat's name?
This is Fergus McFuzzy Pants, James.
Fergus McFuzzy Pants. That is such a British monarchy name.
Yep.
So with that being said, the free world will sign off. We'll be back with more Tech Corners next year. Until then, folks, enjoy your holiday break. Spend time with your family. Appreciate them with everything that's been on. I know that you've seen too much of your family, but at the same time, it's that time of year where we get to be jolly. That's it for us here, folks. Till next time, stay cyber safe.
Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends and colleagues. And get all the latest information at cyberhubpodcast.com.